Welcome to Community Talk, a public affairs presentation of the MSA United Way and Super Talk 1270. Now your host, Jenna Gullo.
Welcome to United Way's Community Talk. I'm your host, Jenna Gullo, the MSA United Way Executive Director, and co-hosting with me, Ms. Amber Jensen, Operations Manager at United Way. Hello, Amber.
Good morning, everyone.
It is a chilly summer day.
Feels like fall. I am not a fan.
I'm just not ready, but
No.
What are you going to do? We have an exciting show for you today. We always bring together experts, community experts on lots of different issues. And with school kicking off in Mandan yesterday, is that right? Yesterday that we started?
That is right.
That we have a lot of changes going on in our community. We have Bismarck starting in just 1 week from today. And so we thought it'd be a great opportunity to discuss what's on the horizon for the upcoming school year in both Bismarck and Mandan public schools. So we've had a steady growth within Mandan enrollment, and we know that it's increasing. From 2011 to 2013, we had 218 new students. In Bismarck, we had 689 over that same period, and we're anticipating other sizable increases for the upcoming school year. So today, we'll be hearing about enrollment numbers, discuss some of the issues that some of our schools have seen, how they've handled this dramatic growth, and what actions are being taken to ensure that our children are prepared for success. So later, we'll be discussing this with Superintendent Tamara Uzelman, who's from the Bismarck Public Schools. But right now, I'd like to welcome some very special guests from the Mandan Public Schools. We have the Superintendent, Dr. Mike Bitz, and we also have the Assistant Superintendent, Jeff Lind. Hi, guys.
Thanks, Jenna. Glad to be here.
It's so good to have you here. You're such great supporters. Dr. Bitz, I have to tell you, I didn't know Jeff was going to be here today. Jeff's everywhere. Anywhere, anything you need from Mr. Lind, he's there. He raises his hand. But I have to say, with people like Jeff on your team, people like Laura Just, your social worker, I mean, you have developed an extremely strong team over the course of just a couple years. So thank you for doing that. And how did you go about doing that as a new leader in Mandan Public Schools?
It's always important to surround yourself with good people, and you're right. We really do have a great team in Mandan, and it's fun to work with people who are not only competent and do their jobs well, but are just good people.
Isn't that so true? And Jeff, thank you for joining our board at United Way recently. You've added so much in the short time that you've been a member. So I really appreciate how you always raise your hand. You probably don't know what you're raising it for all the time.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, ignorance is bliss. But thank you for everything that you've contributed to our United Way, and just over the last year especially. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you for the opportunity to be involved. It's been a great experience to this point.
Yeah. So Mike, talk to us a little bit about your past and how long you've been the superintendent, and just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Just finished my second year as superintendent in Mandan. Before that, I was assistant superintendent in Mandan for 2 years. And prior to that, I was in Hillsborough, was superintendent for 11 years.
No kidding. And so what changes have you seen the last 2 years?
You know, just the 4 years I've been in Mandan, just the changes that have happened in the Bismarck Mandan community have been incredible. Just the number of students that we're seeing. When I came in 2010, we were just starting to see an uptick in growth, and that has continued and exceeded, I guess, what we were expecting. We started school yesterday, and we're up again about 3.5%. We're up about 115 students.
Wow.
It's exciting, but it does present some challenges. You know, we have to plan for that and make sure that we have classrooms and teachers ready for our students.
Absolutely. So now when you became the superintendent, how do you even start to be proactive and manage this growth that you think might be coming?
You know, in order to make good decisions, you have to have good data and good information. We hired a demographer out of Kansas City, the same demographer that Bismarck hired, to give us some projections on what our enrollment was going to be at the elementary, middle, and high school level. That data has proved to be remarkably accurate. And with that data and with good data, we're able to make good decisions. We built a new elementary school, which we opened yesterday, Red Trail Elementary.
How exciting.
It was exciting. It was fun to be up there. We had an open house last week. It was fun to see the students in that neighborhood come walking in with their backpacks and their parents, and it just has transformed that whole neighborhood. It is exciting.
And so that's up near the Seven Seas in Mandan?
Just northwest of the Seven Seas, probably about 2 miles northwest.
Wow. And so how many students will be attending the new school?
We had 294 on the first day yesterday.
294, no kidding. And so how does that compare with your other elementary schools? Is it on par with number of students, or are you anticipating more growth?
You know, the nice thing about opening Red Trail is our schools last year, our elementary schools were bursting at the seams. We were able to take students out of Roosevelt, take students out of Lewis and Clark Elementary, Custer Elementary, and relocate them in Red Trail Elementary. By doing that, it took the pressure off of those schools. Right now, Red Trail is our third largest elementary school.
Wow. Wow, that's neat. And so were you able to transfer some of those teachers, or are they all new teachers?
We did. We set up a process. We wanted to make sure that our staff at Red Trail, as our other elementary and middle and high school, was a mix of veteran teachers, new teachers. So yes, we did transfer teachers.
Mm-hmm. And how exciting for them to be in a new facility, new space. And those kids just must be so excited and eager to learn. Was it difficult in the hiring process? I know every business in town throughout the state is just having a difficult time finding good people. And I know out west, they're having a teacher shortage. Are we seeing that here?
You know, we don't have as many people in the hiring pool anymore, especially at the high school level. You know, we used to sometimes get 10, 15 applicants for math or science. Now we might get 2 or 3 or 4. I think we're getting good people yet, but the pool isn't as deep.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. I have a lot of friends who are teachers, and they say it's still extremely competitive in the Bismarck-Mandan area. And if they're not willing to relocate, then they're waiting for openings.
Yeah, I believe that to be the case.
Yeah, for teachers to retire. So we will be back in just a few short minutes to hear more from Dr. Mike Bitz and Assistant Superintendent Jeff Lynn. Hear more about the growth, the challenges, and how we as a community can do a better job at helping our students succeed. So we will continue our discussion for now with the Mandan Public Schools Superintendent Mike Bitz. Dr. Mike Bitz. Doctor, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
And we also have Jeff Lynn, the Assistant Superintendent. Jeffrey.
Thanks, Jenna.
Jeff, you're a board member at our United Way. I just have to say thank you again for all of the time and energy that you put into our community through United Way and giving back. Talk to me about how some of this growth affects children in the school and what challenges you're seeing with some of your students.
Well, Dr. Bitz touched on the impacts of growth at the elementary schools level and us opening up Red Trail Elementary to ease some of those class size issues. Part of my portfolio is working with the secondary schools, the middle and the high school. And so one of the challenges for us is preparing as those larger class sizes start moving into the middle school, into the high school. How do we address those space needs, and how do we address the staffing and curriculum needs that we have there?
So what are some of the things that you're doing to be able to be proactive in that?
Well, one of the things, in addition to the demographer study that Dr. Bitz touched on, is we do have a contract with an organization to do a facility study for us. And so JLG Architects is currently in the district, and we're hoping to get a report back from them probably midwinter on taking a look at not only our physical space issues, but also conditions of our buildings, improvements, whether we need new facilities, expanded facilities, retrofitting some facilities, or remodeling, just upgrading to meet the needs of our students from more of a global perspective throughout the district.
Absolutely. And so this is maybe an ignorant question, but are the funds there to be able to provide for all of this growth, and how's that all work?
Well, I think that the first step in that is trying to get an understanding of what we need. When we know what our space needs, when we know what our facility needs are, we can then get some estimates of what those costs are, and at that point, then we can maybe have better discussions about how we might go about funding those needs.
Yeah, absolutely, because we are seeing a greater strain on our teachers, I imagine, and on the facilities and on your budgets, I presume.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, though, the state of North Dakota has done a lot of work in the last few years with the funding formula and making sure that we've been able to increase teacher salaries, and I think we're feeling in a pretty good place right now where we're at with being able to provide quality education for kids. It's always a fine balancing act to make sure our resources are going in the right places, though.
Absolutely. And so how are you working with your teachers themselves and your professional development with those teachers? Because it's a different community out there, mm-hmm. and you both are such visionary leaders and develop such a strong team. And so when you bring these teachers back to the new school year, what are some of the changes that you've made? Well,
I think you hit it on the head. The things that people see about our schools when they drive by on the street is the buildings and the facilities, and of course they get a lot of attention. But the vast majority of our fiscal resources go to people, which are what we are all about in schools. The school is really the people that make up that school: the teachers, the paraprofessionals, the cooks, the bus drivers, the administrators. And so we really have to put a lot of effort into building those folks up and building those resources just as much as we do into building our facilities as well. So from a professional development standpoint, one thing we did this fall that we were very excited about is we've kind of focused on the new 3 R's, and there's a lot of talk about rigor and relevance in education today. We made our focus of our professional development this fall on the 3rd R, which is relationships. And really feel in some of the modern discussions about education, that's a piece that hasn't been talked about enough. And so we brought in a highly sought-after speaker, Dave Weber, and had a in service not only for our teaching staff, but we had our cooks, our bus drivers, our paraprofessionals, everybody hearing the same message about how important it is to establish those strong relationships with kids, with parents, with colleagues, with each other, and really want to make that an emphasis for the year.
That is so important, because we were talking earlier, when you think of your favorite teachers or your role models, it was really the people that showed that they really cared about you and your growth, and that they had a stake in the game, that they really wanted you to be successful for you and to be able to pursue your dreams and your hopes. I learned actually at a development training over the course of the last year and a half that the board approved, thank you very much, and was paid for by the Bremer Foundation, that relationship development is the key behind any business that you're in. The relationships we have with our partners or with our coworkers, our board members, that is what is going to get the job done. You certainly have to have the data and the business acumen, but it's all about that way to connect with mm-hmm. people. It's really fascinating, and it's so important and oftentimes overlooked in everything that we do.
I know Dr. Bitz has mentioned this a couple different times, but the teachers you remember in your life probably aren't the ones that you remember for their highly effective delivery of instruction. It is those teachers that you could relate with and you establish those strong personal connections with. So
what are some things that parents can do to position their children for greater success, or to help you out, in the managing and running of the Mandan Public Schools?
Parental involvement is huge, and sometimes there's maybe a not everybody understands or sees parental involvement from the same perspective, whether parental involvement is coming into your child's school and being actively involved in that process, or whether it's being involved at home, helping them with their homework, maybe making sure or asking them what they have to do, keeping track of their progress and how they're doing in school. But really, I think utmost importance is the communication piece between the student's teacher and that parent. I just think if everybody's on the same page, that is probably the most important parental involvement piece that we have and promote.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for that parent to just reach out directly to that teacher and just have that open line of communication.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what about children who are struggling in school? What resources do they have available, or do parents have available to them?
We have several different resources. It depends how they're struggling, whether it's an academic struggle or if it's a struggle with meeting their physical needs, or their not even enough to eat at home, or not having school supplies. We have different avenues where we can help meet those needs. If it's something where they don't have food at home, we have social workers, we have counselors that will get involved and try to make sure that the family is taken care of, and that we connect them with resources, some of them through the United Way, where we can help them meet their needs. If it's an academic struggle, again, we certainly want the parents to communicate with us, to get the parent and the teacher working on the same page, and to meet those needs.
And Jenna, just to follow up on that, one of the things I think we would really like to point out is the Neighbors Network involvement that we are now have access to in the Mandan School District. And I think United Way has been a strong driving force between us being able to access those resources. It's been a program in the Bismarck schools for quite some time. And so we're really appreciative of the opportunity to provide those family outreach resources to our patrons as well.
Well, and we're hoping that as it gets really revved up this upcoming school year, that it will be an additional resource for students and families that extend well beyond the school day. So Neighbors Network is a group of case managers funded by United Way and Bismarck Public Schools to be able to go into the homes of families who have children who are at risk. So it could be that children maybe have low attendance, maybe they're demonstrating behavioral issues in the school. And so the families are able to meet with caseworker in their home and to be able to link them with existing resources. It can't all be done by the schools. And I imagine you probably feel that strain and stress every day throughout the school year. And so what do you see as some of the biggest needs for your high poverty students in the community?
Well, you touched on it. There's a lot of needs that students have that aren't necessarily related to academic achievement. And so, yes, we're seeing an increased population of homeless students within the Mandan school districts, as I'm sure Bismarck is too. Mm-hmm. So the basics, food, shelter, clothing, those types of things are so important for students to have those needs met before they come into the classroom, because it's very hard for a teacher to provide effective instruction when the students' basic needs aren't met. And we are seeing, even though it seems like there is maybe more prosperity and higher wages within the area, there's still a level of poverty that is out there that we know we need to address with kids. And so we're appreciative of those agencies that can help families meet those basic needs. It helps us do a better job academically, instructionally, when students are coming to school and have access to adequate food, shelter, and clothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we really just want to thank you, Jeff, and Dr. Bitz for your leadership over in Mandan, for your collaboration, your partnership. Dr. Bitz, real quick, any final words that you want to talk about? Any goals that you have for this upcoming school year?
I think we're looking forward to getting our new demographic information and our facility study back, just so that we can continue to plan well for the future.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being proactive to all the growth, all the changes, focusing on relationship development with your professional staff. And thank you for your support of United Way in our community, all that you both do for so many students and families. If you have any questions, any comments, go to our United Way Facebook page at Facebook.com/MSAU Way. I am Jenna Gullo, your host for MSA United Way's Community Talk. We will be back in just a couple minutes to talk with Bismarck Superintendent Tam Roselman.